What's going on, guys? It's Masalito here with another story for you. Surprise, surprise. And today is pretty flippin' funny, guys. At least I think so. It was not funny when it happened. It was very anxiety producing, but it is what it is. Anyways, let's hop into it. So, this all takes place back in November of 2019, and it involves me and a good friend of mine at the time. We'll call her Annie for today. And so on this day, nothing happened. It was a Friday night, and Annie calls me and she goes, "Hey, what are you doing at the end of November?" I'm like, nothing. At least I don't think so. And she's like, "Do you want to go to a concert with me in this place?" And she names a city near us. And I was like, "Sure." I'm like, "Who's the band?" And she says who the band is, and it was a band that I actually really liked. And so, yeah, I was totally down. So she's like, "Do you care if I come over tomorrow and we can buy tickets and hang out and whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's totally fine." And so next day rolls around and Annie comes over and we're hanging out for a while, just catching up and whatnot. And eventually we're like, all right, we should probably buy those tickets now. And so she goes online and she had already bought the tickets for the concert, but we were deciding kind of how we were going to do it. So we decided that we would take the train to this city and we would stay in a hotel that night and then take the train back in the morning. That way we weren't driving in the middle of the night. We were only 19, so we didn't really want to be driving in a city in the middle of the night. And yeah, we just figured it would be safer to just stay in a hotel. So that's what we did. So she decided that since it was her idea, she was going to get the hotel room because that would be more expensive, and I would get the train tickets. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I buy the train tickets and she books the hotel. And that was it, guys. We're set to rock and roll. And we were excited. And then the rest of that day, we just kind of hung out, and she ended up spending the night that night and then went home in the morning. So fast forward to the end of November, and we planned on her coming over on Friday night. She would spend the night going into Saturday, and then Saturday we would leave in the morning to head down to the train station and hop on the train and head to our destination. Then the concert would be that night, and we would go back to the hotel and then head back on the train in the morning. So fast forward to that Friday night. She comes over, we're hanging out, watch movie, and next morning rolls around and we are hyped, guys. We are super hyped. So we, without any delay, get up and eat breakfast and get ready for the day. We say bye to my parents, and then we hit the road and start headed to the train station. So we get to the train station about an hour and 15 minutes later ish. And first of all, guys, it took me forever to find the parking lot. It was more hidden than any parking lot I'd ever seen in my life. But eventually, after like 20 minutes of looking for it, I found it. Yes, it took 20 minutes because it's in the middle of a city, and I do not like cities, guys. I just don't. Too much stuff. So, drive in, find a spot, park, and we head inside. And then, once we are inside, me and Annie go up to the counter, have our tickets, and that was it. Then we go sit down and wait for the train to get there. It was incredibly easy. I'd never been on a train before like that, guys. Like, I'd been on trains with my parents as a kid, but nothing where I was the one handling it all. So I was a little confused, but it was incredibly easy. So don't ever be worried about taking a train. It's very simple. Anyways, so we sit down and not even 20 minutes passes by. It was really fast, probably because it took me 20 minutes to find the damn parking. But they call our boarding group or whatever. I don't remember how they boarded us, but I believe it was boarding groups. And so we get up and we go and get in line, and then we get on the train. And this was a really nice train. I won't lie. It was pretty darn comfortable. Much nicer than driving all the way there. Most definitely. So that was it. We were off on our journey, and the train pulls out of the station, and it was a really fun ride, guys. Me and Annie just kind of got to chat and catch up. We didn't get to see each other a lot because she lived about an hour and a half away, so it wasn't too often that we got to see each other. We tried to see each other at least once a month, but sometimes it's hard. So we're just chatting and end up watching a movie. We watched Vacation, not the old one, but the remake. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it is hilarious. It is definitely not as family friendly as the original, but it's actually not family friendly at all. But, anyways, and the reason I know that is because the first time I watched it was with my parents and my sister, and we got about, I'd say, a quarter into the movie. And my mom told my dad, "You need to turn this off. This is not something we watch as a family." And my dad said, "Yeah, I did not know it was going to be like this." And so, yeah, that's where I got that movie from. And so we watched that, and it was hilarious. And only about 15 or so minutes after the movie finished, we got to our destination. So we were excited, guys. We get off and we go and call an Uber right away. And here's a prime example of why I don't like cities. I walked out of the train station, and no more than a probably minute and a half after I walked out of that door, a guy came up to me and asked me for money. Now, I'm not a cruel guy, guys, but I don't just give out my money. Sorry, I just don't. And I'm never going to. So I'll buy you food. I'll, stuff like that. I'll, buy you a blanket or something, but I'm not just going to give you money. So I told him no in a respectful way. I was like, "Sorry, man. I'm not even from here. I don't have anything." And he's like, "Oh, all right, man. Well, have a good day." I'm like, "I appreciate it. You too." And then he went on his merry way. Pretty soon after that, our Uber arrived, and me and Annie get inside, and we start heading to the hotel. Now, I did not know what hotel she booked. She just booked one while I was booking the train. So I just trusted her. I was like, okay. The only thing she asked me was, "You're cool sharing a bed?" And I said, "Yeah, we always do." She's like, "All right, cool." So we are driving through the city, and just watching the Uber driver drive through this reminded me of all the reasons why I don't drive in cities like this, because it just sucks. So we get to the hotel. When we get to the hotel, holy mother of Moses, guys, this hotel was gorgeous. I don't know what she paid for this room, but oh my. We walk in, and the entire lobby is marble. It was absolutely stunning. I had never seen anything like it. It was just gorgeous. And that was the first thing I said to her. I'm like, "Holy crap, you really spent pretty penny on this, didn't you?" She's like, "It actually wasn't that bad since it was only one night and just one bed." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess you got a point." And she's like, "Yeah, so I figured it would be fun to stay somewhere a little nicer." I'm like, "I have no problem with that." So we get in line, and we're waiting our turn because it's a massive hotel, guys. It's one of those really big ones. So, we got to wait in line to get to see one of the receptionists or desk clerks or whatever they call them. And so eventually we get to the front of the line, and we're checking in, and the lady gives us our room number, and I didn't even hear what she said because I was looking at my phone. And Annie goes, "Awesome, thank you so much." And so then I was like, "All right, time to put the phone away." And we start heading upstairs, and she's like, "It's on the 6th floor." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I like being up high, guys. Like, especially if I am in a city, I like to be able to look out and see the city. Like, I just think it's cool. And we get to the 6th floor, walk out, and I'm letting Annie lead the way because she knows what room and I don't. And eventually we stop at this door, and I look at Annie and I said, "Are you being serious or are you joking with me right now?" She's like, "No, this is what she said." I'm like, "Good Lord." This was like a 12-story hotel or something like that. It was a big hotel. And out of all the rooms that we got in the entire building, we got room number 666. I'm like, "Are you serious?" And, Annie kind of chuckles, and I'm like, "Oh, good Lord." And it's like, "All right, well, let's do the damn thing." So we go inside, put our bags down. Gorgeous hotel room, guys. Just beautiful. And so then we're just kind of killing time until it was time to head out for the concert. So we went downstairs, had some dinner, and then came back upstairs and just waited for about an hour until it was closer to time to head to the concert. So gets to be that time. We call an Uber and we head downstairs. And pretty quickly, our Uber shows up and we hop in and start heading to the venue. Now, this Uber driver he got us there in one piece. I'll give him that. But holy crap, guys, this guy was weird. Did not say a word the entire ride. Not hello, not have a good day. This man didn't speak a word. And it was very creepy. He didn't acknowledge that we got in the car. It was weird. But he got us to our destination, so good on him there. And so when we get there, we get in line and start waiting to head in. And it was a little chilly, so I was kind of hoping, to hurry it up. And luckily the line wasn't terribly long, so not too bad. And we end up getting inside. And before we go inside, at the time, guys, I was super addicted to nicotine, like incredibly addicted. So I had my vape, I had my Juul, and I gave it to Annie and had her put it in her purse. Well, that didn't work. They found it and they threw it away. And I was like, are you kidding me? But Annie was a little sneaky, and when they weren't looking, she reached into the garbage, grabbed it, and walked into the venue. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Absolute legend, Annie. And she's like, here, I have a new pod for you. Don't use that one. I'm like, oh my lord, you are amazing. And so, yeah, Annie for the win. And we get inside. Annie ends up getting a vinyl copy of the album and a sweatshirt. And I wasn't like a massive fan, so I didn't get anything just because concert stuff is incredibly expensive. So we go in, and it was an awesome show, guys. It was really freaking fun. It was so cool. And I definitely don't regret going. We didn't get to see the openers because we were running a little behind getting in the door. But I didn't really care. I had no interest in any of the openers. I didn't know any of them, so whatever. So concert finishes and we head back outside, call an Uber, and this Uber driver was the polar opposite of our first driver. We get in the car and she is the nicest lady ever. Like, we get in, she's like, oh my god, hi guys, how are you doing? And we're like, great, thank you, how are you? And she's like, I'm doing great, thank you. And I'm like, of course. I'm like, how's your day been so far? Or how's your night been so far? She's like, really well. I haven't had any bad passengers yet, so I'm very glad about that. And me and Annie were like, oh, well, that's awesome. Do you usually get a lot of those? And she's like, well, in this city, I usually get 1 or 2 a night. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have to deal with that, but I applaud you for being so positive. And yeah, we had a good conversation with her on the way back. She asked about where we were from, and we asked about where she was from, and it was just a great conversation. And we get back and she wishes us a good night, and we do the same, get out and head inside. Now, once we get up to the room, Annie goes to take a shower, and I'm sitting there and I'm just on my phone watching videos and thinking. And then all of a sudden I have a thought. And my thought was, hey, there was a big yellow sign in the parking lot at the train station that I parked in, and it said in bright yellow, pay in advance. Now, guys, I'm a moron. I thought that was a question. In fact, it was not. That was not a question, guys. That was a statement. Hence why it was in bright frickin' yellow. So I start to freak out, because I'm in a completely other city, completely different state, and I have no way to get back to that car until the morning. And there's a chance that it's just going to be gone in the morning. So I'm freaking out. And Annie gets out of the shower and she comes out and she's like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, why are you look so frazzled? And I tell her, and she's like, okay, like, it's going to be fine. Like, don't worry about it. And I was worried, guys. I was worried. And so I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I guess I'll call my dad. And I called my dad. And of course, he didn't answer because it was like midnight. And so I'm like, okay, I'll call him in the morning. So me and Annie go to sleep. She cuddles up next to me and tries to help me calm down. And she was a great friend. If you're listening to this, Annie, hi. I hope you're doing well. So then we fall asleep. So next morning, I wake up to a call from my dad, and I pick it up and he's like, why did you call me at midnight? And I immediately pretty much start freaking out again. And I was like, Dad, I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. We're in this other state, other city, and I'm an idiot and thought the giant sign that said pay in advance was a question, even though it didn't have a question mark. And I'm terrified my car is going to get towed because I have no idea where to get it out, and I don't know what I would do. And my dad just is like, really? You thought that was a question? And I said, Yes, I don't know why. I thought it was a question. He's like, why the hell would they have a big sign that says pay in advance without a question mark? And why would you assume that that just means, oh, yeah, I guess I can just pay when I get back? I said, I don't know, Dad. I really don't know. And he's like, okay, well, you're an idiot and I will help you out. But you are freaking lucky that you're my son because I would not do this for anybody else except your sister and your mom. And I'm like, I know. And so my dad says that he'll go down and see if my car's still there, which, once again, absolute legend. My dad, I love my dad. My dad's freaking awesome, guys. I love my dad. All my friends love my dad. I don't know anyone who doesn't love my dad. Anyways, so we get off the phone and I tell Annie what's going to happen. And she's like, see, it's going to be okay. And I look at her and I'm like, it's all because we're staying in this silly room. Everything's going wrong. Because there had been other things that went wrong. I can't remember what they were because this one overshadowed the rest of them. But it was interesting. And so then fast forward, we went downstairs, got some breakfast. And then after that, we called an Uber and headed to the train station. Got on the train and head home. When we got back to the train station, I texted my dad and I'm like, hey, did everything go okay? And he's like, you're lucky, ... Yeah. And I just breathed a huge sigh of relief, as did Annie. So we get off the train and head to the car and we get in and we head back to my house. And when we get back to my house, first thing I do is I go give my dad a hug. I'm like, thank you so much. You saved my ass. And he's like, yeah, I know I did. Because when I got there, the parking attendant was 2 cars away from yours. And luckily, I had already grabbed the ticket and was able to slip it on your dash. And I'm like, you are an absolute legend. Thank you so much. You are like the best dad ever. And he's like, yeah, I know. Like, you owe me. And my dad always said that, but never actually made me owe him anything. But anyways, that was pretty much it. Me and Annie went downstairs and hung out for a little bit and just kind of talked. And yeah, that was the time that I almost got my car towed because I'm an idiot and thought that a statement was a question. But anyways, guys, that's the end of the story. Wasn't like a super crazy story, but kind of an interesting one. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like and subscribe if you so choose. I would appreciate it if you chose to do that. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stick around and I will be back tomorrow, I believe, as long as I don't get caught up with anything else. But with that being said, guys, that's the end. I'm done rambling. I will see you guys tomorrow. Later.